Hi everyone. Thank you so much for all the positive comments that I got from sharing my story. I was so honored to actually get your messages asking me for help, for support, for advice. And that was the objective of why I shared my story with everyone. And I will continue to do so. So every Tuesday, actually, I will be talking about different stages of my journey. What were the things that I did to improve my life and to reach to where I am today? So today, the journey that I'm going to talk to you about is the second stage I went through, which was finding the right system and solution to the side effects of having type 1 diabetes and what worked for me. Each individual is very different from the other, so that's a key thing I want you to keep in mind. But this is some of the practices that helped me, and I'll walk you through them right now. So, number one, the first thing after I was diagnosed, I was given the insulin. I had to learn how to adjust my readings, what was the amount of units that I had to take, and I had to see the patterns of how my body would react to certain foods, certain activities, how it would react even under stress. So the first thing that I did was I took the advice of the doctors in terms of initially starting with a standard dose, and at the time it was quite high. So I would be taking 10 to 8 units 3 times a day, which is very high. And as we know, with insulin, it takes what it needs from burning the meals that you have. It burns with the exercise, but the excess remains in your body and that turns into fat. So unfortunately, having such a high dose of insulin, and then of course you have your night insulin, which is Tresiba, which takes it's a slow acting, which keeps your sugar under control while you're asleep. So that's another actually dose of insulin that is your body is now going to carry. So over time, I gained a lot of weight, and that wasn't only the reason. I wasn't following also a very strict diet. And I would sometimes skip meal because I was working, so my lunchtime would be at like 4 or 5, and I'd grab whatever was on the way. So here's where I created a system in order for my readings to not go too high and too low, because the key thing here is to have a standard sort of a wave pattern when it comes to your readings. So what I did was I actually had an alarm on my phone every 4 hours. And every 4 hours, I would scan my scanner and see what was my reading. If it was in a normal range or in a range I knew that I'd be doing an activity which will bring it down, I would leave it as it was. But if it was high, then I would take a small adjustment, which would be 2 to 3 units. That would help balance it out and it wouldn't spike up the sugar, because what happens when you have these spikes, all of this over time is affecting your heart, is affecting your eyesight, it's affecting your liver. So the key goal is here to have a steady pattern. Then after I started using that system, actually it really stabilized my sugar over a period of time. So that was one check where I figured out a system of how to take the insulin. Now, many people sometimes opt for going on the pump, which is basically a pump that is regular in your on your stomach, which pumps insulin by itself. However, the feedback I got from people who were on the pump is that they weren't in control, and they also didn't know how to kind of assess how much units was needed, because they were so dependent on it. And I'm a person that likes to be in control, so I preferred to take it more as an injection than have it on the machine. After that, I focused, which I had mentioned previously, about my mental health. So I knew that stress was a factor of why my sugar was going up. With me, it was actually not the food, it was all stress. The minute my mind was occupied or aggravated, that's when it used to spike up. But I could eat even like carbs and sweets and it would actually be okay. So I kind of knew my pattern here, that what was the key cause for the increase. So here I started yoga breathing, which did tremendous effect on my stress level. I did a sound bowl, which also is vibrations that your body goes through. So the flow of energy in your body is balanced. So literally I used to do it like religiously every like end of the week to remove all the stress of the week out and just restart over the weekend. So that was the mental health part. And then the next thing was I set a goal that I wanted to lose weight, to be healthy, not to look thin or fit in a size 4. It was about being healthy and happy with how I looked. So I focused with a realistic goal, and with me, like 65 kgs is a good sort of parameter where I look healthy, and at the same time, it's easy to maintain for me. So I targeted that. It took me roughly, I would say, a year and a half to achieve it, but I was very consistent. And I pick the things that I enjoy doing. So I don't like something that's repetitive. So I would have one day of Pilates, one day of yoga. I would do a spin class, or I would go for a walk with my like friends on the beach. Then I would sometimes like do a hike, anything that there was a fun activity too. So, and this way, at least 4 to 5 times a week, I was active burning. However, one key point here that you should also do a test to see how much your body burns fat at what intensity. So with me, my body was burning fat in medium to low exercises, and high intensity was doing nothing for my system. It was only putting me in a fight or flight state, and here is where my sugar would spike, because that's one interesting aspect of diabetes with not a lot of people know, is that when you do a high intensity, because your body is sort of in shock, it actually increases your sugar reading. So you even need to do a correction sometimes when you're doing high intensity. But for me, when I switched to medium to low intensity, and during the week also my diet used to be on proteins only, and then I enjoy my weekend with whatever I wish. So this way there was a good balance between understanding how my body worked with insulin, understanding what were the things that I needed to address my stress with, and finally adjusting my exercise and maintaining a system that is easy to follow and works well with my lifestyle. So I hope these steps helped you. And one thing to like always remember with diabetes is, honestly, each individual's body reacts differently. So there is not a particular formula. Each one of us reacts in a certain way, and each one of us also has a different reason of why their sugar goes up. So that's why I always say, check with your doctor, do the test necessary. But these were my tips of how I managed to stabilize my sugar, maintain a healthy and normal life. Thank you very much.